Good evening. You are listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob, and alongside me tonight, also from Central Florida, he's also broadcasting from the Pinos Palace, just west of Orlando, Florida, where I have Max and Daisy, my Czechoslovakian red German shepherds patrolling the grounds, keeping us safe so we can continue on our Extreme TV special edition version of Dark Shadows, the revival from 1991, Season 1, Professor Pexel, Episode 8, an episode that makes me want to beg the question, especially for those that are hardcore Dark Shadows fans, or even the newer ones listening and watching the revival for the first time. What's better than one Victoria Winters? Do you know the answer?
Two Victoria Winters.
And a clean-shaven, hunky man-meat. Because I got to tell you, this is, we've talked about camping in the episodes, having a little bit of fun, the Willie beatdowns, magic, the sexiness of it, the allure, the fog machines, all the stuff that makes Gothic stuff fun and campy. This episode, however, even though we went back in time recently, is not fun. It's dark. It's extremely mature. It's probably one of the better episodes just for the tone alone, and the music is 10 times off the chart than any of the earlier episodes. I thought it was fantastic, and boy, Adrian Paul, what a way to debut, what a way to shine, what a way to go out, man. This guy's phenomenal, and he definitely has that ick factor, and him and Ben Cross, man, brothers fighting over a woman, but not because they want to. What's your initial take on this episode, sir?
Love, betrayal, all of it can be found in Dark Shadows. And oh my gosh, this episode was so good. And I know I say that every episode, but it's hard to find television this perfect in my mind. So I'm going to say we should just jump right in. And we pick up right where we left off, staring down the stairs at Josette Dupre as she's arrived in Collinwood. And Victoria Winters still shocked because, holy crap, that's me down there. But Josette gets to go ahead and see, oh, this is such a great place. And, oh, there's Barnabas. And, oh, my love. And they are quickly to her room, and it's also very, you have to be very classy, nothing untoward yet, but
No PDAs allowed.
No PDAs allowed. That's right, they have to keep it confined to the chambers just for a moment though, because their true tryst will be out in the woods below. But no, we get to go ahead, see Josette get in there. The way she looks at Barnabas, man, jeez, it's so perfect. It's so good, so great. And of course, there's a blonde bitch who's gonna ruin it all. After Barnabas finally says, oh, I'll see you later tonight, and goes out the room, Angelique is called, and you can tell that Josette is fond of Angelique and says, no, don't call yourself my servant. You mustn't call yourself that. And Angelique's all kinds of bitter and like, stole my man. So, no, but I am your servant. It's been destined that way. And Josette doesn't even acknowledge it, really. She's like, no. You mean, you're so important to me. And we do get to see them outside in the night air as they are just embracing each other. And that's when Angelique decides, okay, well, I need to figure out what I'm going to do tonight to set this up. I know just what you need. You need my rose water. And after she gives Josette a bath after her time with Barnabas, she starts to give them a dream. A dream of another man, another Collins within the house. Joshua! No. No. Sorry, that was a poor joke. But Jeremiah. And within their mind, it's this whole cloudy vision of him with his shirt open. His chest is just covered in oil. And she's there in her 90, and they're embracing and just such passion, climbed onto the bed, and suddenly they both find themselves looking at each other the next morning, and that's when I'll pause and let you go ahead and take a breath.
Yeah, it's the continuation factor we talked about in the previous set of episodes about how that just immediately, even if you don't remember specifics of the situation, draws you right back into it, continuing. And I like it too. And again, of course, we have the "My name is Victoria Winters" opening, and she's giving you the voiceover about how two women have traded places, and it's a nice way of kind of saying, "Oh yeah, that's right. This is what's going on," because that comes on, and it's really cool because when I see the two ladies together, Angelique and Victoria, I feel like Angelique, even though we know she's hot for Barnabas and's pissed at him, is going to make him pay. I feel like she doesn't necessarily really hate Victoria, and she understands something's going on here with these two. Just that it's not coincident that they obviously look alike. And of course, when she comes in and he gets pissed at her while they're getting ready to go out, she bends over like to put this stuff down, and her breasts are spilling out all over the floor, and she's looking up at him like, "Take me from behind." I mean, she knows what she's doing. She's not teasing him so much as she's sexually just going, "Yeah, I got you. I'm not this fragile bimbo or whatever like that." It's delicious to watch because it would be too easy for her to hate Victoria, at least right now, and to have genuine malcontent towards her because I don't see it. And what's also I thought pretty good in this scene here too is when Barnabas, this is where we see, of course, what supposedly happened 200 years ago. We're seeing it play out here, where he gives her the music box, and we find out the song that's playing this time not on the radio, like say by Johnny Mathis. It's one that they played when they first met or when he first asked her to dance. So that's kind of a nice little thing. And we're starting to see the stuff of Barnabas that we didn't have in the first sets of episodes in the modern time ones, where we start to understand him. And so we're getting that tortured soul, but we understand it. Instead of him being a little bit of a simp or a bitch, we're going, damn it, we get it. Because yes, he had a fling with Angelique when he thought his bride was gone or not coming back. I wasn't quite clear on that. It was just seemed like a throwaway line. And so we understand the situation is in because he's hit it and quit it. He's moved on, but he stares those daggers at her while she's doing whatever. And she looks like an innocent French beauty when she's not, going crazy. But she goes from 0 to 1 instantly, and that's what makes her character good. But I kind of liked it when she's like, let me throw some potpourri in your bathwater, as we would say, because it looks like that, or tea, because we know, oh, this is what happens. Now, the thing about Angelique is we don't know how she got her powers or
Hmm.
why she got them and all that stuff. And I don't know that that's necessarily important. Unfortunately, while it's a convenient excuse to do things like time travel and make people fall in love, which is exactly what happens here, um, we don't know what limits to put on that and if that becomes a convenient way of the show kind of writing themselves out of a tough situation. But when she sits there and she's got the two little tiny clay dolls and she's rubbing them on each other like a little girl would do, hitting each other, kissy kissy. We're seeing Adrian Paul get down. I thought, I told you when I saw him, who would be the Highlander guy, not the original Highlander guy, but the TV Highlander guy. Um, this is straight out of 80s porn, 70s and 80s, where you got the soft lens filter around the corner, the sweat all over his back. You don't really see any private parts, but you see them just going at it, and it's very reminiscent, or at least that's what people have told me. Because you're right, you're like, oh shit, it's not that she's having an affair, it's that she's fucking his brother. Oh, that hurts on so many levels. But here's the really great thing about it: when they have the breakfast scene that you see, we see them looking at each other and they both look guilty as hell. Not like, oh, it was a one off, I'll forget about it, or anything like you might go modern day.
Yeah.
They seem genuinely conflicted, like they don't know. And Mrs. Johnson, that friggin' snitch bitch or whatever on the table and all that, she's going to play an important role. But I get back to reality because she's the one watching what's going on here too. And they kind of cut the scene here to go to modern time where the police, it turns out, have captured the lady that traded places with Victoria, and
Miss Phyllis Wick.
yeah, she's a little cutie pie, and she looks like she's about one hamburger short of 100 pounds here and all that too. But she does a good job with the role because it's got to be even freakier for her. At least Victoria knows what's going on, right? But when Sheriff Patterson shows up, I told you Michael Cavanaugh's a Scotch drinking god. This guy's the shit because he's like, we need to do da da da. I will be talking with you later. This guy's got something coming for them. At least I hope he does, because the guy is a very strong character actor. and his intensity rivals Barnabas's to me. It's just that we don't see much of him, but what we get is really good. There's no let up in this episode. And so we get the convenient story about Miss Phillipswick, is coming, but she's taking the place of Victoria on a short-term basis because she's on a vacation and all that, and that's cool.
The
So,
rich people have to cover up their stuff, Rob.
but you know what? That's well said, because that's exactly what it is. If this were just a typical family, we wouldn't have the resources and the ability to tell this story, and we wouldn't have the going back in time with the manor, the houses, the town, and the rich history and all that stuff. So that is a part of it. It is a generational thing.
I,
But
I, al-
go
I
ahead.
also have to point out, did you notice that Michael Cavanaugh is also playing Josette's father, Andre?
Yes, I think that line comes up a little bit later here, and I was pleased by that because I was like, oh, we get a little bit of a connection that we didn't necessarily have before. And isn't it the doctor that turned into the vampire, the guy, the other wig wearing guy in here? Because I'm like, who the hell is he? I may be wrong about that, but I was like, wait a minute, it sounds like him. If I put glasses on, is it him? Sometimes
Yes,
everybody looks the same in their outfits. They just have the cheesy fake French accents and the air kisses on the cheek sort of thing.
it's
But
so good.
well, it turns out that she's got, like, there was a diphtheria or something, and so they're like, well, she could die where we might not be able to get her back, and so they're talking about how they're going to handle it. And I like it because it is an old disease that isn't present now, and usually don't get these things in first world countries anymore. So I like that they're not doing too much about it. But when they go to see Barnabas, I thought this scene was really, holy crap, because Willie, he almost gets so pissed at what's going on here. And he just kind of like picks him up, and then he kind of puts his hand there, and he turns and just growls like once at the doctor. I'm like, this is good shit. And I'm like, wow, he's super pissed, because he walks out in the middle of the night fog machine and does a little sucky sucky on what's her face's neck to get a little supercharged. It's like, what's he going to do here in the future? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, no, he's so angry because if she dies, what is Victoria going to do? And I knew you were happy whenever he pushed Willie against the wall. And then he does that weird, like, he realizes how far he was going. He pats Willie's face. He's like, "Get out!" And whenever he get out.
I mean, that's it. It's beautiful. You don't have to do too much. He doesn't have to be a vampire more than 30 seconds. Seriously.
So
Contact
when
lenses, two teeth, and a growl. If you're a good actor, you can do it.
So when he goes to visit Carolyn, and he just goes ahead and drinks a little bit of her blood, he's a little hungry. I don't know. It's like I said, it's so odd because when they did this in the original series, when they went back in time, the present paused. It stopped. The focus was completely back in the 1790s. But I really do like them moving together, especially when we get to go back and of course Victoria Winters doesn't know any better, so she says, "Oh, you know what? I'll sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow to the kids. That won't mess with anything." Thankfully, it won't, unless I don't know, unless Daniel decides to sing it to his kids, which I know he won't. That's not the kind of man Daniel is.
And just for the record, while they're both looking at each other and they're striking resemblance at each other, they're both so pretty, even though it's the same actress. Sarah actually looks her best here with her hair back in the tail, and out with that stupid friggin', I don't know what the hell kind of hat she was wearing when we first saw her. I thought that didn't do her some justice, but here she looks normal, along with David. We don't get too much of them, thankfully.
Yeah, no, it's very good. Oh, whenever Victoria says, you should go ahead and go play. Okay. That's how they say things over in like where did they say?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And so whenever they run off, that's when Josette, she gets a little freaked out. She's like, I feel like you do understand. You know that I love Barnabas. You know all this. And she awkwardly says, I know we'll be good friends, Victoria Winters. And then runs. Oh, wait. I know we'll be good friends, Victoria Winters. Au revoir, and runs off. into her room, and she has to tell herself, I do love Barnabas. But down below, near the stalls, you can see Jeremiah, and in his mind, he's having flashes of the moments last night. Their bodies intertwined with one another, the sweat pouring off of each of them, the passion brewing, and that's when Josette pops up and says that, well, she dreamt of him too. And though she feels so guilty, she keeps saying no. She just keeps kissing him back.
Yeah, they both look like they really kind of don't want to do this. And the look on his face is like, yeah, I'm going to bone the crap out of her, but man, I really don't want to do it. And you believe him. And it's guilt and it's shameful. It's illicit. It's not the, oops, she accidentally bent over and, just got in an argument kind of, easy excuse to have sex with somebody. We know, of course, that this is a spell. So that's the strong suit of what's going on here. Because again, we just see them making out a little bit with some of the steamy stuff. It's fate. They can't, I hate to say fate, but they're not under their own control and they have no awareness of it, even though they talk about it. And, the next scene what I didn't understand about this episode, and it kind of pissed me off, and this is what I'm going to bring it to here, is when we transition quickly from that to this next scene, this is basically where Victoria says, yeah, I saw them boning. And I'm like, why are you narking? I know you're trying to figure stuff out as you go there, but you should just shut up, figure shit out, and understand that there's a supernatural element because you're just freaking traveling time. Yet you're letting in people that are dealing in voodoo cards and tarot cards are like letting them know what's going on. And she's like, I've been watching you, Miss Winters. You've always seemed to know more than you are telling. And it's, of course, the doctor, and it's important. And it's like, I didn't understand her motivation other than she knows bad stuff's happening. So it's weird
She
to me. I didn't
knows.
get it.
So here's the thing. And I can't remember if she had a piece of inner monologue after that, like where she goes ahead and, oh, this is her writing in her diary. She knows something bad is going to happen, and especially when she sees that. So she's hoping that maybe, and yes, we understand the rules of time travel. You can't change what's already happened. You can't do it. It's not, you are not able to do that. It's very simple. However, to a girl who has been sent back because of a seance, she doesn't really, she is going to do her best to try to avoid that if she can. However, fate, and I know you don't like saying it, fate has a way of getting involved before she can, because even after she tells the Countess to pray, that night, it seems that their passion is going to burst as they are in Jeremiah's chambers. And after clothes come off, clothes go on, and Victoria Winters, as she's writing in her diary, she's able to hear something as the storm outside starts brewing. And away in the night, you can see two figures, one man, one woman, running away.
Angelique, though, casting the spell, kind of fading in and out with
Hell
them
yes.
going at it. That's good shit. And she looks cuter when she's not pissed off, but when she looks like a wild feral beast animal in here, that's kind of sexy. That's the 0 and 1 bit with her attitude. She's definitely very Frenchy and blondie, I guess. Adrian Paul and her, they're going at it. It's not like the other one where it's just kind of more of a restrained, passionate, like, this one is like really, really hardcore.
Because the other one is behaved. Like, even though they go out in the night and they embrace and, oh, we shouldn't be doing this, it's nowhere near the same. They are able to hold themselves back because they know of society's pressures. But
it was
the
her
other
love for
two,
Barnabas that made her feel compelled to almost not do it the first time. But the second one, it was on. It was on.
No choice. They had no choice. Their as Angelique says, that let their passion burn bright. Let their flame burn brighter.
So when you knock somebody up, especially when you screw like your your brother's woman. What do you do the honorable thing? You run off and elope and marry her, which is why we see them leaving. Because right before we get to that, and towards the end of the episode, we see the next morning where Barnabas comes in looking for her, and he's not acting like a bitch here. He's pissed. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't get it. And like a man, they break it to her. And they're like, "You must be strong. They laugh together." And he's like,
Yep.
"But it doesn't make sense." Then he feels a little guilty. How could I have not have seen it or whatever? And of course, he looks up the photo of his brother that's over the fireplace, which I thought was cool. Um,
Oh
it's
my, I gotta go ahead and cut in here because whenever we see him, because Victoria walked in the room first, saw
yep,
the Countess Dupre. It is too late. They have gone.
yep.
And when Barnabas walks in, where's Josette? And he takes this turn from confusion to disbelief. And when he runs into Jeremiah's chambers and sees the drawers ransacked and
Yep.
neither of them there, when he throws that at the portrait of his brother and he says, "I'm going to find them," you can feel the rage. You can feel Barnabas in that, because we haven't gotten to see young Barnabas angry. So
It's a good
good.
scene because
So
we talked about this before with the practical effects, not just the vampire stuff, but some of the other things. And then I mentioned before with the cucumber sandwiches and lemons, it's nice little touches that you see people do stuff. I despise it whenever a commercial or anything on TV or movies where they have somebody and they you can almost tell that they're faking taking a sip of water or coffee or tea or whatever it
mhm.
is in their soda. And then here you actually could see it. And there was something where it's where the boy got pissed at the doctor and knocked the tea over because it was real, even though it wasn't hot tea. I'm sure. Here you see him throwing the object at the painting, and
And
it
it
explodes, and
shattering.
you see it like in the one shot. And yeah, it's gimmicked, of course, so it's not going to hurt anybody. But it was really good. And then a nice little touch here too is when he's like, "I'll find them," and he runs down these yelling bandits. Like this is really good acting. He comes around the corner, Loomis does, and he's like, "Yeah, Barnabas, I'm sorry, son last night. I really don't know what to do." But he's holding it looks like a bottle, and we go, "Oh, that explains why." Like the very first person we see, very first episode, is him being a drunk at the bar, right? It makes sense that here he feels guilt not being knowing what to do, and he's starting to drink a little bit.
Mhm.
Plus, we know he's under Angelique's control, or at least he's a monarch butterfly psyop, waiting for the command prompt to send him into a deadly assassination frame of mind, or something along those lines. Whatever Angelique wants to do, Ben's going to do it. But he's like, "Yeah, when they left, if they're going to Boston, then they should be on the main road. Do you want me to come?" He's like, "No, I'm going to find them." And you know what? They don't have to show us the chase. They show the reluctant couple that I guess eloped, did the quote unquote right thing, even though they both seem kind of guilty about it, but not too much here. They just show Barnabas open up the door coming in with the riding crop or like that. He's like, "How is this possible?" And his acting is on point. They got the sweat machine going on, and Adrian Paul looks incredible in here too. This is great because you never hear stories about brothers too much. And it's brothers about a woman, but it's not. We understand why they both feel the way they do. They've both been manipulated by this evil, literal evil witch, and they're all innocents in here. And you could even argue that, of course, Josette is too. And it's good because it's not, honestly, it's really not much of a kind of a struggle. Although they do have the old 1980s hammy fisted punch, stuff like that. And she's like, "We're married, we're married." And so he kind of yields, choking his brother out. He got the best of Adrian Paul, and then it's like he's like, "Brother, I want my satisfaction." He's like, "And you shall have it." And I'm like, "Oh, that's just so good. Good. We don't get duels too often, right?" And they've got
I
this
gotta
outfits are incredible. This is awesome shit.
I gotta go ahead and cut in here to go ahead and say it shouldn't be possible. At this point in history, duels in Massachusetts just they weren't allowed. They were against the law. But we're going to
So,
gloss over that because
well, here's
it's
the thing with duels and pistols and the military aspect from it. So obviously before gunpowder was really in use, say hand-to-hand stuff or with rifles, people used swords and stuff. And then you had the armor and then greater armor and then greater swords and all that. So then when you have projectiles, things are a little different. And the longbow pretty much, was great for England and everything. When you take the old world way you handle things, like what's happening here with the duel to it, there's a little bit of honor with it. This is a family matter. Squabble's Law has nothing to do with it. And muskets are still around, single shot, all that sort of stuff. And they're still popular for quite some time. It wasn't until, much later you got like the 6-shooters and everything and the taming of the Old West and too. So I don't disagree with what you're saying, but from the European perspective, maybe it was less so there. I totally get it here in America. I have zero issues with it. And I'm not enough of an expert to know if what they had looked realistic or if the ammo, who gives a shit?
The
What's cool
muskets are
is the way they
fine.
do it. I love it. It's good stuff.
It is perfect. It's just a small side note that comes from whenever I was watching the original series. That's one of the pieces of trivia that I read about, and I was like, oh well, it still works. And
Exactly.
this is very okay. This is very important.
Proper. It's a proper thing that's
When
happening here, and I like it.
exactly, I like it too. It's just it's a little different from how I experienced it last time because Barnabas's rage makes him demand the duel, whereas Jeremiah did not want to in the original. Here, Jeremiah I want my satisfaction. So it hits a little different. That's not necessarily a bad thing. But what is really good is that we get to go ahead and see a scene straight away where the family is all reacting. Oh, this is absurd! And like you said,
I
Michael
wasn't saying.
Kavanagh, you
Yeah.
made my daughter. Really?
My daughter. It's really bad. It's Pepe Le Pew bad.
It's so good. I love it.
We have a shaven, hunky man meat in the background who, by the way, is redeeming himself quite nicely because he seems like a very calm, authoritative figure here without being a dick or anything like that. I mean, I'm like, wow. He's like, may God have mercy on our soul. And it's like he's the one that officiates the duel between the two, and it's
Peter Bradford, yeah.
yeah. I mean, we get Victoria checking out the diary and the book and all that stuff, kind of trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And it kind of remind me of being pissed, but they're going to have it at dawn. So what do? Show some footage of the sun rising. I mean, you don't get that a lot here too. You don't. And I have to confess, when Barnabas was coming down, we get a little Sarah coming down the stairs, and he's like, he's got his game face on.
Barnabas!
She's like, don't go, I don't want you to die. And that's like, I don't want your mind to die. It's so cute. It's like, but she's wearing the awful hat now. He's like, Sarah, I swear to you, in my life, no harm will come to Jeremiah. And she's like, but what if it harms you, or if he harms you? And he just kisses her, and he doesn't act like anything. So I went to
His
my notes.
winters, take her to bed.
Yeah, exactly. This is a grown up thing. At this point, I'm going to be honest with you, and I want to get your take on it. I kind of really didn't remember too much of these last few episodes when I watched this years ago when it first aired. So it's been that long. But to me, I thought either it's one of two things. He's not going. He's the older brother. So an older brother just has a different feel for a younger brother than a younger brother does for an older. It's not the same. It definitely is not. So I was thinking, as an older brother, is he going to use this as a death wish because he's been punked out and everybody's betrayed him, and he's the older brother. He's held to the highest standard in there, and he feels shame. Will he just kind of like, oh, I'll just miss the shot and I'll let him kill me? Fuck it, it's over. What the hell do I have worth living for? Seriously, not that he's acting suicidal. I don't mean to suggest that. And I'm not trying to talk about self-harm in a negative way. I'm just talking in terms of the gothic construct here. But the other thing is I thought, okay, what if he intentionally tries to miss or what? And we're going to find out obviously here really quick. But then of course we see Mrs. Johnson checking everything out and watching Victoria and all that too with those friggin' little snoop ass eyes of hers. Boy, she pisses me off, which means she's doing a great job because she doesn't have to say anything. It's great. It's like
she plays evil bitch well.
She does. The best scene to me, though, in terms of just visual stunningness, as campy as it sounds describing it, I think it translates really well, is we get the whole duel sequence, which I'll let you go through the detail of it. I'm just going to say, seeing Angelique on top of the gargoyle head, watching from afar the duel going off and everything, it's phenomenal because he tells his handler, because we go through all the rules and all that too. Hunky man meets officiating. It's like, you're going to take 10 paces, turn around and take your shots. Is that understood, gentlemen? And you believe that he's not just like, are you sure, guys? He's like, no, do you guys understand this? And we're like, whatever. Of course, Ben Loomis is Barnabas second, and he tells Ben, give me the ball, which is the the ammo, right? The bullet, if you will,
Mhm.
because he has absolutely no intention of doing any harm to his brother. So I'm like, damn you, Barnabas. When I start thinking you're a bitch, you go and totally redeem yourself in this episode by being, yeah, I screwed up once, but it's, it's understandable. And he's not going to kill his brother. So part of me goes, he is going to let himself get killed. I mean, he doesn't show any, I think, characteristics of that over the entire season so far. But in this moment with what we're watching, that's now, and then we get to see Angelique saying, "Okay, I got to escalate it," and it ends with one or two great lines. But I'm gonna let you, take this last course here because this is a great scene. If you end with a duel, come on, it doesn't get better than that.
Yeah. So after Victoria pretty much tells Barnabas, "Listen, I I have a kind of insight about these things, but if you go out there, Jeremiah will die." And he says he will not die by my hand. And when we get to see
Right.
how, it is very bright on Barnabas. It goes ahead and shows his character, and he holds the ball, he takes the pistol, and they do their 10 paces. And whenever they turn, there's something happening in the meantime. Angelique above there, watching from above over Collinwood, or I guess the not the great house, the old house at this point.
Yeah.
Um, using Ben's eyes to see what's going on. She is not having it. She uses her powers to call the ball, I guess Jeremiah's ball, into her hand. And then she dedicates herself. I will be your slave, spirits of the air, spirits of the wind. Uh, if you do this for me, the boys reach 10. They turn. They fire, and Barnabas is surprised because he's watching from above, and I think he's a little shocked too. There's a shot. Jeremiah has been struck, hit from afar, and it was kind of this crappy cutaway. Oh, the ball disappeared from my hand. Oops. But it's getting to see him in the ground. Josette goes, "So, is this what you wanted? Is this what you wanted? You've killed him." And Barnabas
He's
can
the
just
only man I will ever love.
the only man I will ever love. And Barnabas is so just in utter shock. He doesn't know what happened. And it doesn't end just there.
Which
As
is good. Yeah.
Angelique is laughing and her eyes take over the screen, and we watch them return back to the old house, or the manor, as it's called right now. Jeremiah's dead body in Josette's arms. Barnabas goes up and he says, I don't know how this happened. I did not shoot him." And he shows the ball in his hand. And that's when, of course, Abigail Collins
The
gets what she
bitch.
wanted.
Yeah.
She says, "We have all been cursed by the witch, and there she is." And with the dramatic dun dun dun, as we turn and see poor, poor Victoria Winters looking down from the window. And that is where the episode ends. Those sons of bitches.
Tease me. I want more. It is
Always
a good
want
way to
more.
end because while we know they're going to have the duel, it's what the duel, the outcome of the duel is what's important. It's not the act itself. Of course, they do it very prim and proper. There's no cheating. There's no ha 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 quick draw stuff or whatever. Even though it was made mention to us in an earlier line, but Jeremiah has no chance. Brother Barnabas is the superior shot or whatever they say in those old world terms. It's good because again, like I say, this episode the music's just completely on point, and the whole duel scene, the fog machines are on 12 if you can crank them to high. I've said 11 once or twice, but man, it's like I've said before, when you have a show that is just visual enough, a lot of the same backgrounds, a few little new ones here, like the one or two scenes we see outside in the old antique shop, and when the ladies are meeting for coffee talking about stuff, it makes you feel like the town's there, even though you realize, shit, I didn't see anything about the town, right? And so it's well because the idea of calling support kind of forms in your head. And here we're getting a feel for is there anything about the new house that has not been built yet with the scenes that we're watching that is going to be significant, because right now it's the old manor, which is what Barnabas was living in. And so it's kind of your brain starts filling in these chunks whether you want to or not. And so it may not necessarily have all those details for you, but it fills it in and makes you feel like there's more to it than that. And so when you have the duel, y it's really not important. Again, all that, and it's just a really quick turn. And again, the violence super cheap. He's laying there, then they cut to him, and his hand's a little bloody from like where he'd be grasping where he got shot. That's it. Adrian Paul, man, what a way to go out. Like I say, he glides into the screen. Got a lot of charisma an episode or two ago. He meets Millicent. Then he's forced to make sweet, sweet love to a very hot woman a couple times, at least once in his dream and once in real life or twice. And then he gets shot in the duel. Damn it. What a way to friggin' debut as an actor. Do you get to do all the wonderful things that you get asked for? And I just think it was a great addition to the show, because I'm assuming that we won't see any more of them with only a few more episodes left. I don't know. And I don't recall, and I'm not going to look it up. And that's why talking about Dark Shadows, the revival here from 1991, episode by episode, like we're doing here on the Xtreme movie show, the Xtreme TV version, of course, is really rewarding. Because, like I said at the beginning, and from my final thoughts is this. I know you've said a lot of the episodes, oh, it's such a great episode. I hate saying it. Well, because none of them are great. Well, that's not necessarily true. Some are a little more entertaining than others. And there's some things I think we individually liked. And we enjoyed the campiness of it and the atmosphere, and it's fun. Now the fun is out of it. And not like it's a bore or it's a chore to watch, but this is serious shit that we're dealing with. And I like it. I'm glad it's not all, oh God, how can we drag this shit out? It's good. And they keep escalating, and the resolutions to them take you deeper. It's not like they're getting so big they're jumping a shark. But let's be honest. Right now, we're not focused on Barnabas at all being a vampire, are we? We're
Yeah.
focusing on the drama between, what's happening here in the family, and how family loyalty, no matter how tenuous it can be with a duel, and lady thinking there's witchcraft as a part of the family and all that. It's pretty remarkable that, like I say, all this stuff exists as a vehicle to see pretty much the tension between characters and all that too. It's not necessarily that you have to make a point with a story, although sometimes that can be. I certainly wouldn't call this a Christian thing or even necessarily pagan. I think right now, knowing very little to do about Angelique, we're gonna have to find out, okay, are we gonna get any more from her or not, or is she gonna go away? And then they're gonna have to deal with whether in the front or the past. I don't know, and I don't know what the original show did, but very entertaining. Loved a lot. I'm sad that we only have a few more episodes left.
Me too. 4 more, and then it's all over. And it's going to be a very sad day, because I do say this is such a great episode every single time. This is one of those few series on television that I feel is just like it is perfect. It is everything that a show should be, and with all the actors, they do a brilliant job. I love the story, and I'm so excited to see how they can close this up. And I just hope that it closes in a way that is at least somewhat satisfying. Obviously, when you have something that was 1,225 episodes, and you are going ahead and you're putting it together for a series, and you want multiple seasons and you only get one, you're not going to get everything that you hope for. I just don't want to be hurt by the end.
I will say this, not necessarily knowing the outcome, but at the time, like I say, a lot of these were preemptive or on different time slots. So it actually, I think, without looking at the Nielsen numbers, if I just recalling from memory, it went well, and it was surprisingly decent. And understand that stuff like this and Twin Peaks was a big thing there too, and we covered season 1, which is really nice. But obviously, I don't know if at this particular time they knew that there was not going to be a season 2, so it may not end up all nice and neat and tidy.
Yeah.
So it's
So
hard to say, because I don't know the original series and where they keep things and how things keep going. So we'll see what happens. I have absolutely no idea what to expect.
yeah, well, we're going to have to wait and see. There was a line that I always say that always comes up. Dark Shadows. It is where the action is.
So it is. All right, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Dark Shadow Season 1, Episode 8 of the Revival from 1991. Check it out. Next week we'll be doing Episode 9. Have a good night. As always, stay extreme.
And remember, Dark Shadows is a Dan Curtis production.
It is not a Quinn Martin production. Good night now.